Howdy folks, and welcome back. This is Deep Blue. Sorry I haven't been posting in the last few days. I have been pretty busy at work, but I have some pretty exciting stuff that I've saved up for you. First up, we're going to go through a card I got through Apocalypse. I mean, you already see it's Whirlpool Rider. And then I have some new stuff from Time Spiral. So, Whirlpool Rider, this is a kind of a cool gift for me. Not a big one, not a very expensive one, but it puts me a lot closer to finishing off Apocalypse. I think I have, after this, 2 cards left, and that will be the first set that I have a complete collection for when I get that. So that's pretty cool. Not as big a flashy set as, you know, if it was Urza's Legacy, Urza's Destiny, Mercadian, but, you know, still a pretty cool benchmark. So very excited about that. Plus it's a Merfolk. Who doesn't love Merfolk? I had loved Merfolk Tribal back in these days. I think maybe I'll get back into it again. I'm currently kind of digging Wizard Tribal, though. I'm really enjoying it after Dominaria. Anyways, moving on now. Now, Time Spiral was a really interesting block. You know, they did a lot different with the mechanics. They did a lot of really cool stuff with sort of the card design, with the borders. We'll get into that in a little bit. So we'll start off with Time Spiral itself. And the first thing that you notice about these is how sort of, it sounds weird to say this for foils, but how almost darker they are. There's still the sort of, iridescence that we would expect, especially in these sort of, Kamigawa, Mirrodin sort of that bulk foil, not bulk foil, that blunt sort of heavy foiling layer that we see. But one thing that's striking about these is that it comes off a lot darker than you would expect. And that's also true not only with these, it's also true especially with the Lorwyn Shadowmoor blocks. Those foils are almost look unreadable, especially for the blues. I'm not so sure about the other colors, but at least for the blues, they're just terribly, terribly dark. So that's something you really have to look out for here. That doesn't mean they don't do cool things with the effects. As you notice for this Crook Claw Transmuter, you can see they still do some of the detailing here, but again, this is just thick layer of iridescence. I don't know why that is. I don't know if they did something different with the foiling process, if they did something different with the treatment. At some point, I've thought about actually buying, a few extra of these very cheap ones and cutting them up and seeing if I can see the foiling layer in there. But, I'm so hesitant to damage these kind of cards in any way that we'll see if that happens. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comments, and I might be able to do that in the future. Eternity Snare, Fathom Seer. I got these ones through Star City Games. When I was at Star City Games Baltimore, I was able to cash in some cards and get some store credit. So when I got home, I ordered a few from Time Spiral block. Get some commons, get that whole ball rolling for that set. It's a really interesting set, I think. And it's one that, we have trouble getting sometimes because it wasn't a very popular set. And so as a result, there are a lot fewer of them out there in existence. We have the scarcity issue again. So as a result, I'm a little more eager to jump on these. Not quite as eager as some of the later sets, and definitely not as eager as we would see for Urza's Legacy, Urza's Destiny, Mirrodin Invasion. I'm sorry, not Mirrodin, Mercadian Invasion. Those blocks are ones where you have to get them, strike while the iron's hot. Sprite Noble, this is a good example one. It's a few bucks. Because of the flying bonus, a little tribal fairy action going on there. Stormcloud Djinn, Temporal Eddy, Talarian Sentinel. God, that foiling. I mean, the iridescence does look good when you do it like this, but when you have it just kind of laying there, well, that's not a good example. There, it looks kind of cool. But just kind of flat, you see how it's just dark. It's unfortunate. Truth or Tale. And then finally, we come to these. Now, these are kind of interesting. These are the old border foils. They were called time-shifted cards. The expansion symbol you see is purple, which is how they differentiate them. I'm not sure what rate they came in booster packs. I believe there was 1 time-shifted card per Time Spiral pack. And as far as I know, that is just for the Time Spiral set. That is not for, Planar Chaos or Future Sight. So that's kind of interesting. And the big difference here, the thing that immediately stands out, is you remember that the old border foils, they only foil the borders. And what that means is they don't foil the art and they don't foil the text box. And these ones still don't foil the text box. But what they do is they apply the process to the artwork. And so you can see on the Ghost Ship here that detailing stands out, which is kind of neat. It doesn't look great on every card. Sinbad, for example, the problem with this, and I think this is something I noticed while I was sleeving these before the video, is that I think the reason that these look kind of weird is because if we go look back at Whirlpool Rider, notice how the text, I think what they did wrong, and I'm going to say wrong, I try not to be too judgmental, but I think this was a mistake on their part. The text here is not actually foiled. You see there, it stands out. But on the time-shifted cards, it is. And that makes them a little tougher to read because these cards are a little darker than normal. That's something that really stood out to me as I was sleeving these. So Sinbad, yeah, the artwork, that old school, I think this is an Arabian Nights card. That old school artwork doesn't really lend itself to this. But some of the newer stuff does. Look at that Willbender. This is, I believe, an Onslaught card. Some fun Wizard Tribal. Man, that looks cool. So now we're on to Planar Chaos, a little aquamorph entity. You see that they've got some action going on here in terms of trying to make it pop and stand out. That's kind of neat. Erratic Mutation, another kind of random card. Now these, I love these. These are some of the, I don't remember the exact name for them, but these are some of the little shifting, little fun they had with the borders. So you have a 2 converted mana cost for 2/1 flyer. And like all the illusion creatures, it has the little, if it gets targeted, sacrifice it. But look at that. Isn't that cool? I'm not sure why the art looks so much better on these than on some of the other cards. We'll see a few of these in a minute. But God, that looks great. That looks absolutely great. And the reason it pops, of course, is because that tree isn't foiled. So you get that lovely contrast. That is just fantastic. Man, good work. Then we go back to Joe's Avenger. Again, a little dark, not as great. Merfolk Thaumaturgist. Man, this is a cool looking card. I love these. These are great. And this, I have to be honest, when I unpacked these cards, I took one look at this one, and my mouth literally dropped open. I said, oh my God, look at that. Look at that. You've got all of the iridescence of the time spiral block, but none of the darkness, and that artwork is just perfect for it. It has the same kind of quality we saw in the Mirrodin block and in the Kamigawa block, where they have the sort of art features that just make it pop. This is a great example of that. God, look at that. That is just absolutely fantastic. I think this is one of my favorite foils yet, in terms of just the aesthetic quality. If people were buying these on aesthetic quality, this would be $50 easy, I think. Probably not, because it's not, as you can tell, it's not a very good card. For 4 mana, you can bring it in as a 3/3 creature, 2/2 with flying, or 1/6 with defender. That's nah. I guess that might have some utility, but not enough utility. But still, man, look at that art. That is so cool. I think they reprint this in some later sets. So then we got Tidewalker. Again, not much going on with foiling here. Veiling Oddity. Again, not much going on. A little dark. This is just a dark set. And then, okay, so now we are in Future Sight. And I'm afraid I don't have any of the interesting Future Sight alternate border cards with me this time. But as you can see, more of the problem we're dealing with, where these are just dark cards. Although you do have some of these look nice. Fairies look nice. Fairies are going to come back, of course, in the next block. Shadow. Man, who remembers from Tempest Era playing with Shadow? I always thought Shadow was such a neat ability. I really like unblockable stuff. Leaden Fist. This one actually looks really cool, I think. Yeah, they really make him stand out. And that's the thing. You need that contrast. And look at even his teeth. His teeth are foiled. That would suck. Can you imagine having foiled teeth? Ugh. And then our big boy, Venser's Diffusion. Everybody loves Venser. I like Venser. I was sad when he died in New Phyrexia. Spoiler alert. So yeah, I'm going to have these bindered up. Making some good progress on Time Spiral. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon.